Welcome, everyone. My name is Sanya Gurnani. I'm the co-founder of Reyes Agent. I am so excited to welcome you all to Reyes Agent Summit today. It's our second one. We had one last year in October. It was our first one. And we're committed to doing these regularly. This year, we are featuring, this summit, we're featuring NAREP San Ramon Valley. Michael Bardalis is the president, and we've been working closely with him to put this together and his team. I am going to kick off by giving you a quick intro on what Reyes is, and then I am going to go ahead and introduce Michael for the first session of the day, which is diversity in real estate and why it matters. As I'm going to go through these, please feel free to keep chatting in. Tell us where you're joining from. We would love to hear from you. So much of this is about us building a community here at Reyes, and that's you interacting as real estate professionals from all over. So let me kick it off. So what is Reyes? So Reyes has been empowering agents. That's our mission since 2015. We started as a community. We still are a community. We have 70,000 agents as part of our network. These are through partnerships with Women's Council of Realtors and NAREP San Ramon Valley and many other associations like that. We allow you to send referrals to each other. So if you are in one part of the country and your client is moving to another part, use the referral marketplace to send each other referrals. The other product we have, and you're going to hear about all these products as we move through the day, is Reyes Assist. This is an ISA concierge. If you are generating any type of online leads, I encourage you to try this out. This allows you to have an assistant on hand for a very affordable price that sets appointments for you. And then lastly, we just launched Reyes Agent Realty this past year. We are in California and Colorado and expanding all over. We are a virtual brokerage that offers you the opportunity to build out your personal brand with us at the back of it. And we're super excited with the tech platform and everything else that we're offering to make this brokerage the best yet. So that's a quick overview on Reyes. I want to tell you the flow of the day. You're very encouraged to make sure you have summit.reyesagent.com on a browser, and that is going to show you the entire schedule the way it does here. And you can just click through the day and do watch now. That should be the goal. A little bit more housekeeping. If you're going to be on the summit, keep interacting. Hashtag Reyes Agent Summit. That's the hashtag we've been using. You can keep up with all the updates. Make sure to keep using the chat box, interact, give your feedback on whatever you're hearing in the session. There will be a giveaway at the end of every session. So stick around till the end. We're going to announce a winner at the end, and it's going to be one of the attendees of that session. At the end, we are going to be hosting a social hour, which is a networking session 2 times during the event. You're going to be put into small groups and where you can get to know agents from all over the country. So this is our schedule. We're going to start with diversity in real estate right away. And then at 9:45, we're going to go into how to close 100 homes a year. And then that's the way the schedule goes. And we go from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. So I am going to stop here. I'm going to introduce Michael Bardalis. He is the Director of Brokerage Expansion at Reyes Agent. He's also the NAREP San Ramon Valley chapter president, and let him take it from here.
Thank you so much, Sanya. Welcome everyone today. My name is Michael Bardalis. I'm the Director of Broker Expansion here at Reyes Agent Realty, and I'm also the president of our beautiful NAREP San Ramon Valley chapter. Today, we are taking the day to honor Black History Month by featuring Black real estate panels, also brown real estate as well. So you guys tune in for that. We do like to thank Reyes Agent and Reyes Agent Realty for being a big support of our chapter. Even before COVID, they were a sponsor. So shout out to Reyes for helping our chapter improve and being able to feature other NAREP people here today at the Reyes Agent Summit. But before we begin, I'd like to thank our entire board, and I want to give all shout outs to all of them. First, Alex Huezo, our past president. He's the one that got this entire group together. So shout out to Alex, and thank you for all your support and your inspiration to get this chapter going. Shout out to Ben Rojas. He will be the next president of this beautiful chapter that we're starting here. So everyone just thank Ben when you see him as well. Victor Reyes, he's going to be on this panel, and also our events director. Thank you, Victor, for all you're doing for the NAREP chapter. Miss Christina Pineda, a good friend of mine, shout out to you for all the things you're doing here to increase our membership as well. Ricky Alvarez, he is the guy that's putting all the social media stuff out there. So when you see our stories, you see our IG, just know it's Ricky Alvarez doing it. along with this co-marketing director, Brianna Salinas. She has really brought some innovation to our marketing. So we definitely appreciate Brianna and all the things she's doing. Christina Flores, one of our founding members and part of our chapter when it first started. So Christina, thank you for your sponsorship support and everything you do for our chapter as well. Daisy Munoz is basically our treasurer. So she keeps us in line and makes sure we don't spend money we don't have. So thank you, Daisy, for all that you're doing as well. And Helika, thank you so much for being our sponsorship director and all the things you're doing to raise funds for this chapter. And Patty as well for being our educational chair and help ensure that we do some great topics at all the events that we're doing as well. And last but not least, I'd like to thank our committees, Zulian Morales. Zulian, you have been a big help with this chapter, and we thank you so much for helping us navigate through all the things that we're doing here. Grace Davis, thank you, Grace, for all the things you're doing and setting off this marketing thing for us as well. And last but not least, our OC guy, Eliseo, thank you for driving all the way up from Orange County just to attend our meetings. So you guys, our chapter, it's only $49 to join. So please, we talk about diversity, which is going to be our next panel. And this is not just a Latinx community. We are NAREP, we are a Latinx-based organization, but we would love for all people of color to join our organization and get down with us as well. So only $49 to join our chapter, which then kicks it into this new session that we're about to do, which is called Diversity in Real Estate. It really speaks a lot to me because when I first started in real estate, there wasn't much diversity. As we all know, the Association of Realtors was started by white men. So let's talk a little bit about diversity, how we can do that. So I want to start bringing out our panel, Cheryl, Victor, and Shaniqua. So at first, I want to start off with Cheryl. How are you doing today, Cheryl?
First of all, I'd like to say hello to all the Radius Agent Summit attendees. Thank you for being here today. I see that you're from all over the United States, and that makes me feel great. My name is Cheryl Abrams Davis. I am a partner at Remax United Real Estate in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. I have served as a past president on my local board. I'm also a board member at our state level. I've served on the National Association of Realtors board. I'm a member of the Forbes Real Estate Council, and I've been a realtor for over 19 years. And I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much, Radius Agent, for having me here as a panelist today.
Awesome. Thank you, Cheryl, for being a part of this panelist, and I'm ready to get this started. But first, Ms. Badger, how are you today?
Good morning, everyone. It's still morning on our coast, but for some people, they're just getting about lunchtime. But good morning, everyone. My name is Shaniqua Badger. I am the team lead for the Badger Real Estate Group. We are for lack of better words, a kick-ass team for court-friendly global living. But when we're not selling real estate, we're advocating for Black home ownership. And in doing that, I'm the national director for the National Association of Real Estate Broker, NAREB, the director for the California Association of Real Estate Brokers, which is our state entity. And then, of course, I do it back home too, right here in our own backyard in the city of Oakland, with the Associated Real Property Brokers, which is the local NAREB chapter, as a board director as well. Thank you for Radius. Thank you for NAREP. I have to honestly say that we can't do this alone, so we definitely need to have this conversation together.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. And yeah, shout out to the Realist, man. I mean, what a great group of people on the national, state, and local level too. So shout out to the Realist to being a part of this event as well. Now I'm going to bring out a good friend of mine and also a board of director, Victor Reyes. Victor, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing good, Michael, man. How are you?
Good, man. Are you? Is that Richmond you're representing?
Oh, man.
Is that Richmond right there on your shirt?
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Victor, where you're from and who you're working with.
Yeah, definitely. Welcome, everybody. So my name is Victor Reyes. I am a real estate agent with Keller Williams Realty. I am a Peruvian born, first generation, Bay Area native from Richmond, California, bilingual realtor who loves to, help folks in my community, and also just, love to talk about, ways into more equitable and social justice issues and, and housing and everything.
Awesome, man. Thank you for that. So let's get into it, you guys. I'm super excited to get into this Q&A stuff with you guys. So let's start off with you, Victor, since we're already talking. Let's just go in general topic here with just diversity in itself. Like, to you, Victor, what do you feel diversity is for yourself?
So to me, diversity really is, or when we speak of diversity, it should be or it is, to me at least, a genuine effort or desire to reach out to folks from different backgrounds, right? So I think that's the key word. I think genuine desire to have folks from different backgrounds and different perspectives in order to, look at the world from a different lens. And I think that's what diversity is to me.
Awesome. Cheryl, same question to you. What do you feel diversity is for yourself?
Well, as you know, there are a lot of definitions for diversity out there on the internet, and everyone has their own interpretation of what they think it is for them and their organizations. So having been a person who worked in the field of human resources for quite some time before I became a real estate and actually worked with diversity initiatives, I really had to dig deep to fully understand and answer this question. And it really took me some time to answer. It wasn't an easy answer because diversity to me is broad because I believe that it can't be complete without inclusion and equity. It doesn't work if you don't have all three of those things together. It's not just about inviting all people in. It's actually about the sum total of the consistent practice of involving people from all different backgrounds and walks of life and ages and making them feel welcome and included. And like you said, Victor, without effort, it should be effortless. We shouldn't even really have to be putting this much effort into even having this conversation, but because this is the space that we're in at this time, this is what we have to do. And so at the end of the day, we just want to make sure that everyone who is included has an equitable seat at the table.
I love that. I mean, we can stop right now, you guys. That was really, really good. Shaniqua, same question to you. What does diversity mean to you and why does it matter?
Well, I think representation matters, right? Because we have some serious issues that have affected our ability to create generational wealth in our communities. Many of it has been systemic. Even today we're seeing what biases and discrimination does to people in order to create that generation of wealth for our communities. And so we really need to make sure that when we look in from a macro and a big lens, or a wide lens, I should say, we should be able to say that there is a mirror of diversity that supports what we all look like. And so we want to make sure that, again, when we go and we get out there and we have representation for people that look like us, and sometimes for people who don't look like us, they have the ability to operate in a space that has inclusion and equity that's for everyone.
Yeah, I love that. I think sometimes too, us being privy to the Bay Area and how we all just mesh with each other, right? The way the Bay rocks is just that swag we have. And it's so, because we're privy that all of our cities are close to each other, right? Like you go down to LA, it's so far distance it gets from one city to the next. For us, we can be in a 30-mile radius within 30 minutes, be in each other's counties, each other's cities or whatnot. So growing up in the Bay Area, I remember when I was in San Diego, I used to hang out there when I was in the military. My friends came, they're like, man, you guys look like a rainbow. I mean, there's Filipinos, there's Asians, there's Black, my wife's Filipino, godmother to my, our daughter is white. So my best friends are Black. So diversity is definitely privy here in the Bay Area. But let's talk a little bit about diversity in real estate. And when I first got into the business, man, in 2004, I didn't see people of color. I really saw other people, and I was really confused on where to be. But now, Victor, why is it so important now that we have diversity in real estate, especially in real estate leadership?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think we've all kind of mentioned it, and I think Shaniqua hit it on the head, is representation, right? We need to see folks of color in those positions to actually, so we can see that the door is open, right? And I think that's super important, so we can see that the door is open. And not just from, I think we see now a lot more folks of color, especially as real estate agents, but the diversity in real estate really kind of just means the entire industry, right? So we should be seeing more appraisers of color, more lenders, escrow officers, home inspectors, et cetera, et cetera. So I think, we still need to work on that. There's still a lot of work, ahead of us in terms of getting that full representation and, allowing the door to be open in all these different spaces of real estate. And that's important because, people need to see that. They need to see that there is a ability, there is access to it.
Yeah, I definitely think, especially within our culture, right? Especially Latinos, like we're still coming to America. Like that's still happening now for us, people are still coming here and still thriving and still doing these things. And, a lot of us, when we first come to this country, we don't understand a 30-year fix. We don't understand a 5-year arm. We don't understand what it is to do the highest and best offer, right? For us, we come and we want a house. Period. We don't really care what it takes. We're not thinking about interest rate. We're thinking about a better lifestyle for our community. Same thing in the Black community is like, we want to raise and have this generational wealth so houses can be passed on and so on and so forth. So Cheryl, my question to you is this, what can we do in the BIPOC community right now to add more diversity into real estate leadership in our industry?
Okay, so that is a loaded question. So I just want to piggyback on one thing that someone mentioned earlier. I think you actually mentioned that when you grew up, in an area where it was more of a rainbow, and that's actually your normal, right? You grew up seeing people of different nationalities and races, and that sort of started as your normal. But I come from a part of the country where there are areas where it's a little bit more segmented, and sometimes people don't get out of those segmented boxes. I feel that diversity, first of all, is important because when it becomes your normal space, like you said, it doesn't feel like it's a place that's unfamiliar to you. I think that when you come from places where you're segmented, you feel like you're in this unfamiliar place with these unfamiliar people. And what happens is that when we make our organizations more diverse across the board, we find out that we're more alike actually than we really are different. I mean, technically on the inside, we're all the same color, right? But it's not just about color, it's about age. I mean, look at this panel. I'm a baby boomer, okay? But you're probably, millennials, Gen Xers. I mean, this really is what diversity looks like right here. It's all of the agents who are on the summit from all over the country, from all different backgrounds. Some are brokers, some are agents, some have been in the business for a long time, some haven't, some make a lot of money, some don't. This is diversity right here. And what can we do to make some things different in the future? Oh my gosh, I have a whole list. You ready?
Let's go.
You ready? Okay. So what we can do is, first of all, change starts at the top. Okay. So all of our leaders, if you are a person in leadership and you don't have a diversity, equity, inclusion policy in your organization today, you need to make that your top priority. The strength of the pack is determined by the strength of the leader. So the strength of the pack is determined by the strength of the leader. So that's number one. Did you know that the National Association of Realtors has diversity? I think I just got muted. Did you hear what I said? Did you know that the National Association of Realtors has a grant available for diversity initiatives for organizations like NAREP and NARAB? So organizations can actually go to NAR and look for some of those grants available. And if you're a member of any organization, then you should hold your organization accountable to make sure that they have diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives started. And if they don't, hold them accountable. Another thing that people can do is they can join their local association and they can be a part of their local association's diversity committee. And if they don't have a diversity committee, then talk about starting one. And then lastly, keep the conversation going. We don't want this to just be the next big thing and then it fizzles off to the side. Like I said, we have to make sure that DEI doesn't die.
I like that a lot, Cheryl. I mean, that made so much. The leader of the pack. I mean, I'm definitely a wolf guy, so definitely resonated with me. So that means a lot. So Shaniqua, I know you speak a lot about this. You had a phenomenal panel with the author from The Color of Law, and that was just fire the whole time or whatnot. But, now that we talked a little bit about the solutions, I mean, some of us don't realize the barriers that we have in real estate, right? We don't realize the color of law, books of that nature. So tell us right now a little bit about some of the barriers and how we can break through those barriers as people of color.
Well, listen, I have to have a very brave conversation with you all because I believe that we're all here and we're all family, right? And there's a thing that I always say that I walk into certain rooms where I say real estate so white. And we have to really start tackling that where we need to tackle it, right? And it's by having strong conversations like this. It's so important for us to get to where we need to get to and not focus on where we're at. But when it comes to looking at what are the things around systemic racism, around biases, all of these things that become a inhibitor from us becoming the best practitioners we can be, or from us being able to create those opportunities for our clients, or for us being able to bring in people that look like us when we're hiring for different positions in our companies, in our local chapters, in our local realtor boards, all of these things. So what are those things and what do they look like? First and foremost, understanding that redlining steering is still a big thing. And we have to tackle it again where it stands. And many times it requires us to have, again, bold conversations about what we can and cannot do and how we're going to make things different. I love what Cheryl has said about making sure that we have solutions, because we could talk about the problems all the time, but we really have to be very intentional about creating solutions and then standing in those intentions and making sure that other people are standing in those intentions, even when they don't want to. Because that's really where the work is. And we need to make sure that we understand that steering is still a thing, redlining is still a thing. We need to be very diligent about the interest rates and the type of loan products that our clients are getting into, because those are one of the biggest areas that I see are inhibitors from us creating equity and equality in real estate. We also need to make sure that we are holding the companies, all of these wonderful companies that we all join and be a part of. We have to make sure that the leadership looks like us. And we have to make sure that we have those hard conversations. Guess what? I have them. Listen, you don't get a partnership with me without being able to have that line of conversation. That's what Correct. A commission split's all about. It's a partnership. So guess what? We get to talk business. And the business of the business sometimes has to deal with equity and inclusion. Sorry, I don't know who you got hired, but welcome to my world.
That makes so much sense. And that's why I kind of use the tag word Latinx exec, intentionally, because I want to show people from my community and my culture that we can get to the executive level. We can, be diverse in this thing. And I love the fact that, like, now, like you said, Cheryl, the Association of Realtors are finally kind of saying, okay, let's get some diversity going. Eric Wong, who's part of Bridge MLS, is starting a diversity committee within Bridge that, I'm going to be a part of as well. So yeah, I encourage all you guys out there to challenge that, man. I mean, definitely, because we pay towards a membership. We pay towards Association of Realtors. Our vote counts. That money goes to bills. That goes to legislation. That goes to lobbyists. And we can have that go back to us, but we got to get involved. Simple as joining some YPN chapters, simple as joining committees within your local association. The bigger impact happens at your local level first. Once we get a hold of that, we can go state, we can go national, so on and so forth. So tell me, Victor, what are some things you're seeing in your area right now that is actually positive about diversity, man? What are you seeing with other companies or within your own self that's including diversity within the real estate industry?
Well, I mean, I would say that, a lot of organizations and companies are, I guess, diversifying and putting, folks of color in position of power. But, as I think, we've all mentioned, it's in many ways, diversity is just, it's kind of like the first step. It's very entry. It's very just visual. We got to work towards the inclusion part, the equity part, really, right? I think that's really kind of where we focus on. Really, the diversity is just kind of like the first entry point. And, you see it in organizations, but the thing is, when you have like a director of diversity and things of that nature, are they really making an impact on your organization? Right. And, if you, for instance, I'll give an example, like if you have, an organization of 30 males and you have one female, will that person's voice be heard? will that person make a true impact, right? And also, do you create a safe space and environment for that person to even thrive in those things? So I think when we talk about, diversity in organization, we got to be kind of clear in terms of, diversity is a very basic first step. And then you need to be inclusive to allow them to be their true authentic selves in order to work towards equity and real justice, social justice even.
Oh, that's definitely great. I mean, that's totally facts. What about you, Cheryl? What are some of the things? I mean, I know you had mentioned some things, but you said you had a list. So you got some more things on that list?
Well, that was the list for the other question, but I do want to say that we definitely are making some strides in the DMV area. I definitely have seen some changes, and as you know, there are definitely some rooms that we weren't able to break into. Okay, so I'm sure that no matter where you are in the country, that there are some spaces that we all know that don't have people that look like us. Okay. So I will say that our state association actually have put together a task force to look at how they were obtaining candidates for leadership. This was actually before everything happened in 2020. So actually, I feel like they were trailblazers and they were, right on the money about making sure that some things were changing. And they had to change because there were some grumblings, like nobody really liked what was going on, where it was just this, constant trying to be politically correct here. Let's just say that there were some inequities. Okay. So I will say that over the past year, there's been a new process in place that makes for some competition for those leadership positions. And I feel that the ice was broken in 2020. And I feel that more corporations need to make DEI, which they did, a priority in their organizations. And I really feel like that helped propel them, into, a different space for all.
Awesome. And Shaniqua, I know you do a lot, especially I know you're part of Lab Coat Agents as well, and you do a lot about this topic, but what are some of the things you're seeing out there? I see you on a lot of panels. I see you investing in the youth as well. So tell us a little bit about some of the things you're doing to include what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that's very important is we gotta get to young people, and we have to do it early on so they understand what their position needs to be. Because guess what? There's a lot of people that are my age, older, younger than me, that have no idea what's going on. I mean, we're just now starting to see more conversation, even in the local Bay Area around, appraisal inequities. And so we have to make sure that we're teaching people what it looks like, so that they know they have the tools, resources, and understanding to battle it, so that they aren't a victim of it, and that they have their proper place in this wonderful place of real estate that they deserve.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, investing in the youth should be the theme. It's better to raise them right than prove them wrong. You know what I mean? So I would love that opportunity. I mean, I think you spoke with Ian, right, on the Clubhouse. I think you're mentoring him. Did you get to speak at their school?
He brought me, I met this young guy on our Clubhouse talk, 15 years old, wants to get into real estate investing, asking all the right questions. I had a conversation with him. He's an honor student. Next thing you know, less than a month later, I'm coming in and speaking to his class for Black History Month about family and values. So, we definitely have some young people out there that are absolutely getting it, and we need to make sure that we're carving out time to give them just a little bit of what we have if we don't do anything else.
Yeah, I had an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old reach out to me, and it's like, yeah, let's do this. I mean, I'd love to just
it's exciting.
It is exciting because again, it's like they're such a sponge at that age. I mean, 15, we'll not talk about that here, but for them to be on Clubhouse, for them to take the initiative of wanting to get involved with real estate and stepping out of that comfort level, so it's really, really cool to see that. But let's talk about some silver lining things. I mean, 2020 was a tough year, right? It's still a tough year right now that we're going through or whatnot. But what are some things that you're seeing right now, Victor, in regards to the madness that's been going on? What are some silver linings that you're seeing that's happening here within our culture and within our community?
Well, I think one of the things that the year 2020 brought is really time for reflection, right? I think the struggle has always been a part of our history, But 2020 really kind of allowed us to sit. We had to sit with that a little bit. We couldn't run away from it. Sports got shut down. You had to be on lockdown. So you had to face it in many ways. And I think that was the big difference in 2020 in terms of, what we saw, what people were doing, the social uprising, the youth organizations, youth-led movements, I should say. And so I think that was the biggest piece. And I think that, giving us the time to reflect on these things is the silver lining to say, like, we need to face it. And I think that's one of the things that we need to change culturally is we need to face the problems and we need to address them and have serious conversations that, make us uncomfortable. And in order to work towards, repairing those injustices, repairing those things that, we actually need to work on. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I appreciate about what has happened, even though, it's an interesting time. But I think that's the biggest piece that I get from it is that we are now reflect on this.
Yeah, that makes total sense. What about you, Cheryl? What's some silver linings that you could share with us?
I was going to say, Victor, you actually hit the nail right on the head. I look at 2020 as a big boil that erupted. And from that, we're just in a healing phase. And like you said, it gave all of us the time to reflect on everything, between what happened with all the different things. I mean, I'm here in the DMV. I mean, the Capitol is literally 15 miles from my house. So between what happened there with that insurrection and what's happening all over the United States and with the election, I think it just put all of us in a space where we had to really look back and reflect on our lives, where we're going, what our purpose is, how we're going to make a difference moving forward. So I think the biggest silver lining for me is, how are you going to make a difference moving forward? Even if you didn't do anything before, there's still time, for you to act, wherever you are in the world, to be a force to keep this movement going and don't let it die.
That's awesome. No, definitely. I lived in Oakland, so definitely heard a lot of the stuff that was going on in our own community as well. So that's definitely great that you share that. Shanika, what are you seeing some silver linings here for us?
There's a saying that says that when America is sick, the Black community gets the flu. Well, guess what? We've always had COVID, if that was the case. We operate from a different space. And I think that the great thing about 2020 is we got to say, see, we told you so. We've been trying to tell you this all along. And it gave us a different sense of purpose of like, how should we create humanity in just our day-to-day interaction? How do we operate from a space of humility and empathy? All of these things that are very human to all of us, and that makes us kind of really non-unique in that space. So I think that, especially being in the city of Oakland, we've been a part of the movement. This is par for the course for us. We wake up and it's a movement. So I really do think that the 2020 has been a great opportunity for people just to move different, and move different without having any worry about judgment, disassociation, or any of those things. It's like, what can we do to make us all better humans? And that's for me what 2020 was about.
Yeah, amen to that. And I mean, it opens up conversations that we're having today like this, throughout the whole thing. I know you guys can't see me, but I'm just nodding my head this entire time with everything that you guys are saying. So that's really good. Well, let's go into some Q&A real quick. And I want to start back with you, Shaniqua. So a lot of people are asking in the panel is like, what is The Color of Law? Like, I'd never heard of this book. And for me, I haven't heard of this book either until Victor shared it to me. And I was thinking to myself, like, why is this not included in all real estate licensees, education, So can you tell us a little bit summary about The Color of Law is, Shaniqua?
Color of Law is basically a book that talks about government segregation, the government's role in segregation, and all of the moving parts around redlining, segregation, and all the things that affect wealth generation, specifically in the Black community. And there's a really specific lens around the Black community. And guess what? Those first 3 chapters are all about the Bay Area. So as liberal as everybody thinks that we are, understand that there are pockets of communities that were created because of lack of inclusion in real estate, where people couldn't rent or people couldn't buy. We have a West Oakland because people couldn't rent, couldn't buy to be a part of the port in the workforce in Richmond. So, all of these things, people should really, really take the time. You can get it on Audible. You can get it in physical paperback or hardcover. I know Target covered it for a while. I was one of the when you have some of those checklists off of your career about what you get to do. Me sitting on a panel with Richard Rothstein was one of my, okay, I can go to sleep now.
There you go.
But yeah, he is so knowledgeable in this space. And I always tell people, like, listen, if you think that if we're making any of this up, I'm gonna let you read it from a white author, from a white person who is the subject matter expert in all things desegregation, segregation around real estate.
That's awesome. Yeah, great book, you guys. So we're going to chime out, but before we chime out, I wanted to introduce some books too. Body of America, it's a great book, you guys. It's about how immigrants shaped the community here in America as well. Another book that you guys can read is called The African American and Latinx History of the United States. It's another great book that I recommend to you guys to read too. But before we go, I want one last gem. I want one last shout out. So is there a quote or just one last gem that you can drop before we leave? I'm going to start with Cheryl.
Yes, we would be remiss if we didn't have a quote as we come to the close of Black History Month. So I want to leave you with this quote from the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And he said, "An individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity." And that is his quote regarding diversity. And I think that's a great way for us to close out.
Awesome. Shaniqua, do you have something?
Yes, one of my favorite statements from Dr. Martin Luther King as well is when he said, "We're coming to get our check." So we're coming to get our check.
I love that. Victor.
I don't think I have a quote to share.
Victor, it's okay if you quote Jay-Z, bro.
Yeah, no. All right. I have Nipsey Hussle here on my coffee mug, but I would say that not necessarily a quote. I would say follow the youth. If you do work in the community, go to your community, follow the youth. And that's what I would say is they need our support. So follow the youth. That's what I would say.
Awesome. And then I'm going to end with my quote right here by Bob Marley. I don't know if you guys can see in the back, but it says, "No one but ourselves can free our minds." I love that quote too as well. So thank you guys so much for talking about this. And thank you, Radius, for allowing us this open conversation right now. And I'm going to bring in Liliana. Lily, you there?
Yep, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having us on this panel, but I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about Radius and also for our next raffle.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if you guys aren't familiar with Radius, let me just quickly present here. So like Sonia mentioned, we have a lot, but I want to highlight specifically our network and community. I'm actually previewing you our new design for the community. But overall, our community has over 70,000 members, all real estate agents or real estate professionals. And here's where you can connect with other agents, network, you can send and receive referrals, agent to agent or on our marketplace. I really encourage you to, if you haven't already joined, or if you don't have the app, to download the app, because this is where you'll get the alerts from other folks that you're connected with or leads as they're coming in. And then as well, you will get the updates straight to your phone for other events just like this one and courses. I will put the link in the chat right after this, but first I want to also do the giveaway. So our next giveaway is, or our first giveaway more like, is a $150 gift card to Black and Green. Black and Green is essentially a more sustainable and Black owned Amazon Prime per se. It's amazing and they have really, really great products. And if we can get a drum roll, our winner is Stephanie M. Burton. If you can give me your contact information in the chat, I will reach out to you and give you the info on, or send you the gift card more like. And I just put our links to either join our network in the chat or download the app. So if you pop in there, you can go ahead and join if you haven't already, or download again the app to kind of get updates for events and so on and so forth.
Awesome. Thank you, Lily, for all the things you've done.
Yeah, of course. And again, thank you to our panelists and everyone who has joined. Diversity is really close to my heart as well. And it's amazing to be able to have a platform to speak upon these things to people who are not only that look like us, but also other people that are really interested in learning what they can do to help improve inclusion.
Awesome, you guys. We'll stick around for our next panel. Take care, everyone. Peace, love, and real estate.